Good morning. So I welcome you all to this session of daily editorial analysis. कल संडे थी. On Sunday we are not having classes. We are having classes from Monday to Saturday. So I welcome you all to this session of daily current affair class and daily editorial analysis. And in today's session, the editorials which we are going to discuss, the first editorial is with respect to the international law and powerful states. Okay. See, now what we are doing, you will find that on Saturday and Sunday, let me discuss this with you. On Saturday and Sunday, we are having few articles. So we are discussing this on Monday. So the editorials of Saturday and Sunday, which are there, which are relevant for your examination, we are discussing that on Monday also. So don't worry about this. If there is any important article which is there, any important editorial which is there, which comes in the newspaper, you don't have to worry about it. We are going to cover it on the next day. Okay. So like from the editorials of Saturday and Sunday, we are discussing this on Monday. Like here we have this one article, international law and powerful states. Second thing is democracy and citizens, and the third is India and US relation. You can see the syllabus also, that how it is connected to your syllabus. What is the connect with your syllabus? You can see that part also. Okay. Now we will see the question also at the end of the session. In the last session, I have given you one answer writing, two questions for answer writing. We are going to discuss this one question at the end of the session. Okay. Now, here we are going to start with the first topic, international law, optional for powerful states. Okay. When you will launch current affairs batch, as soon as it is launched, we will inform you. Okay. Now, let us start this. International law optional for powerful states. You can understand it from the title itself. Look at the title. International law optional for powerful states. It means the law which is there at international level, the powerful countries, they can choose to obey it or they can choose to deny it. Now, before we start this editorial, can you give me some examples? Can you give me some examples that how the powerful countries have disobeyed the international laws? Can you give me some example? Can you give me example of this one part, that how the international laws are being disobeyed by the powerful nations? Do you have some examples for this? I think you may have been seeing the international affairs on regular basis. So can you tell me, is there any such example how the international laws are being disobeyed by the people? US attack on Iran, yes. Green energy related laws. You can talk about anything. You can talk about US attack on Iran also. You can talk about Paris Agreement also. You can talk about the law of the sea also. Many such things are there. Many such things are there. Now see, when we talk about this, here you have to understand this one part, that when we are talking about this 1945, there was this Second World War. In 1945, there was the Second World War. And after the Second World War, what we see that many countries came together. We got establishment of United Nations. We got this establishment of United Nations. In fact, you will find that we got International Court of Justice also, ICJ. We have seen that there has been United Nations Convention on Law of Sea. United Nations Convention on the Law of Sea, that is also something which we have seen. Okay. We have seen Geneva Convention also. And so on. After this Second World War, after the 1945, we see that many such international laws, many international treaties were finalized. And what was the ultimate aim? What was the objective? What was the objective? The objective was global peace, rule-based order, then it was also humanitarian approach, sustainable development, that was basically the idea. That was basically the idea. When we came with many of these provisions, this was basically the idea that we are going to have some global peace. Okay. We are going to have this International Court of Justice which can solve the matters related to different parties. If there is a dispute, then ICJ will come into picture. It will be solving the disputes. For the international water, for the high seas, for the routes of navigation, the United Nations Convention on Law of Sea will be applicable. We got so many humanitarian laws. So we have seen that all these things have been there. But now what we see that there has been a repeated violation of international laws. There has been a repeated violation of international law. Like, if we talk about this, we can see it one by one. Okay. Russia-Ukraine war. Russia-Ukraine war. So Russia has attacked on Ukraine, and what was the United Nations doing? It was simply condemning the attack. It was simply condemning the attack. Many countries also condemned the invasion, but nothing happened. No one can take any action against Russia. Russia has invaded the territory of Ukraine, but the world remains silent. What the world does, they only appeal for the peace, they only appeal or they only condemn the act. There is no other impact, there is no other thing. Then we see that there is also one thing, the Iraq war. This is something which we see in 2022. Then let's see the Iraq war of 2003. So United States destroyed the entire country just on this one presumption that they may be having weapons of mass destruction. They destroyed the entire country on this assumption that they might be having the weapons of mass destruction. Then we see the US, Iran and Israel conflict. We have seen the US, Iran, Israel conflict 2025-26. From the last year itself, this one is going on. Okay. So we see that the major powers, there is a UN charter. The UN charter says that you should not be attacking other countries. The United Nations law says that you cannot attack another countries, but we have seen there has been repeated violation of the laws by multiple nations. Okay. Then just see this violation of maritime. This violation of maritime laws. Example, here we have South China Sea. Here we have the example of South China Sea. Here you will find that China is having 9- claim. 9- claim. And in this matter, when ICJ gave the verdict against China, Then China said that we don't consider the authority of ICJ. What we see that in the case of ICJ, this ruled against China. This is something which ruled against China. Then what China did? China rejected the ruling. China has rejected the ruling. So we see that whether we talk about Russia, we talk about Iran, we talk about this United States, we talk about China, the powerful countries have always disobeyed. They have always disobeyed the international laws. They have always disobeyed the international laws. Okay. Now what we see that now this trend is becoming popular even among the smaller nations. When so many countries are violating the international laws, what we see that Iran and US control over Hormuz. So this is the fallout, that now we see that there has been a control over the Hormuz, first by Iran, then by US, and what we see, this is a violation of international laws. But again, the international institutions, the international laws, they are completely silent. So this is also one of the part. Then you will see, if we talk about humanitarian crisis, if we talk about the humanitarian crisis, you may have seen Syria, Yemen, Afghanistan, Myanmar, and so on. In the case of Ethiopia also, in various part also we have seen humanitarian crisis going on. When we talk about this, we have to mention about the Gaza crisis also, due to Israel. The Gaza crisis also, which is there due to Israel. Then in the case of China also, there is a place called as Xinjiang. Okay. Xinjiang province of China also. Now here also you will find that there is, then we have the Myanmar also here. Okay. And even in Iran, anti-establishment, protests, trust. So we see that in case of Iran, in case of China, in case of Pakistan also, Balochistan province, Afghanistan, Myanmar, in all these areas, we see that there is a multiple violation of humanitarian laws. Despite having many conventions, despite having many international laws, the humanitarian crisis goes on. Sometimes by the ruling government, sometimes from the external aggressors also. Like in case of Gaza, we can see that it is not because of the internal politics, it is because of the Israel that there is a humanitarian crisis in Gaza. So we see that at multiple places we are having these issues. Okay. Now, not only this, in fact, you will find that environment also. In case of environment also, we are having the Paris Agreement. We are having this Paris Agreement. So how many countries are obeying by this Paris Agreement? We are having Amazon deforestation. We are having the Amazon deforestation going on. We see that there is deep sea mining. Deep sea mining, which is going on. So this is hurting the oceans biodiversity, the lungs of the earth, the Paris Agreement, the climate issue. So many countries are disobeying, many countries are going against these environmental laws also. Many of the countries are going against these environmental laws also. So what we see that in the present case, there is a very famous part that the contemporary state of public international law, if we talk about this, it is neither public nor reliably international nor consistently law. Okay. That it is neither public, the international policies, the international laws, it is not public now. It is not public now. People are not even aware about what discussions are going on, what agreements are going on, what things are going on in the background. People are unaware about it. There was a time when international laws were becoming transparent, international policies were becoming transparent. But now there is a lack of transparency. It is no longer international. Now only there is a powerful grouping which is emerging. Powerful blocks are getting created. And at the same time, it is no longer law. It is no longer law. It is more of convenience or the best suited for national interest or on interest. Okay. So we see that the international laws, they have lost their relevance. Okay. Now what we see, like if this is continuing, if all these things continue, what can be the possible impact? Okay. What can be the possible impact? War become more frequent, international trust decline, smaller countries become vulnerable, rule-based international order weakens. If we continue to go like this, there is going to be a challenge for the entire geopolitics, for the entire world. This is a concern for the entire world. Okay. What we see, this line, the strong do what they can and the weak suffer what they must. This is the trend which is getting established. The strong ones, the powerful nations, they are doing whatever they want to do, and the weak nations are suffering. It is again going to create a chaos in the international order. It has been almost 80 years. We have been able to maintain largely global peace. But we are on such a junction here now in 2025-26. We are here in such a part of the history where things may become very bad. The present geopolitics, it is on the verge of a war. It is on the verge of a chaos. I hope that's clear. I hope कि आपको ये चीजें समझ में आ गई होंगी. What's going on in international politics? Good morning. So see, you have to write one answer also. On the basis of this, you have to write this one answer. Just look at this one question. The present world order is setting a dangerous precedent for global peace. Analyze. So if you have to write an answer on this, the present world order is setting a dangerous precedent for global peace. Analyze. Can you write this answer? ये आंसर लिखा जा सकता है? I think you all can write this answer. Now let's come to the second part. Here we have this one thing. You all might be aware about the SIR exercise, Special Intensive Revision. Okay. So here, what we see, that this SIR exercise, Special Intensive Revision, now this is something which has been carried out This is something which has been carried out by Election Commission of India in approx 12 states in last 2 years. In last 2 years, this has been carried out by the Election Commission of India in at least 12 states. Now, why this is being carried out? Why it has been done? Why it has been done? Like, what is the reason behind it? What is the rationale? What is the rationale behind it? Can you tell me why the Election Commission of India has carried out this special intensive revision? Why it has been carried out? क्यों किया इलेक्शन कमीशन ऐसा? Why it has been carried out? Any idea about this? That why the Election Commission of India has gone to carry out a special intensive revision? What is the rationale? What is the logic? Why the Election Commission of India is doing? To remove the duplicate voters, to exclude illegal people. Okay. First of all, you have to understand this is a statutory requirement. Statutory requirement. This is a statutory requirement. The Election Commission of India is duty bound. The Election Commission of India is duty bound to have a free and fair elections. And in order to have a free and fair election, it must go through the revision of electoral roll from time to time. So, as part of Representation of People Act 1951 also, as part of the Constitution also, so due to two factors. One is the Constitution, Article 324, 327, Representation of People Act 1951. As part of this, the Election Commission of India is bound to have the revision of the electoral rolls from time to time. They have to do this from time to time. So it is the duty of the Election Commission. Why? To find out duplicate entries, So this is something which is a routine task. It has to be carried out from time to time. So then why are certain people not happy about this? Why are some people not happy about this? Why there are some people who are opposing this SIR exercise? Why the people are opposing? Why there is a challenge? Why we have a challenge? The challenge is because of the timing factor. Normally, a large intensive revision is carried out in a general year, not in an election year. So in some of the states, the special intensive revision has been carried out just before the elections. Okay. Just before the elections, this has been carried out. Okay. So SIR carried out just before elections. Now you may say this, that Election Commission of India is giving a time period of 3 months, 4 months, 6 months. There are certain migrant population in India which visit their hometown or their home village once a year. There are multiple such migrant people who are going to their hometown, who are going to their villages once in a year. There are many such students who are studying in graduation or MBA or any such degrees. So they are not going to have a leave. Suppose if their name is stuck off, from the electoral rolls. So how they are going to get the leave from their college to just go for this SIR process? If it is being carried out just a few months before the election, like it happened in case of Bihar last year. In case of Bihar last year, it has been carried out within a period of 3 to 4 months, just before the elections. So this is something which is a challenging task. Now, Election Commission of India may say that we are giving 30 days time, 60 days time. But the Election Commission of India may not be having this idea that the people in India are migrating from Bihar to another place and they are coming twice in the year, once on Holi, second on Deepavali. So they might not have that much of money to come back to your home just for getting their names corrected in the electoral rolls. Okay. So it is the timing of the SIR which has been heavily criticized. Okay. Second thing is, when we are talking about this SIR exercise, the process, in law there is no problem. In law there is no problem. Of course, the Election Commission of India is empowered to have the SIR exercise. But the actual practice of SIR. Now, this is something which is questionable. There have been multiple media reports that there has been discrepancies. There have been multiple discrepancies. The BLOs have been filling the forms by themselves. Okay. So, if we talk about the ground reality, multiple media reports suggest that it has not been carried out in a proper manner. Okay. So, what we see that several media reports highlight the errors in the process. And when we talk about media, we talk about reputed media channels, which are very few. Like when we talk about the newspapers, for example, the Hindu, Indian Express, not of any new channels of TV, because we know how they behave these days. Okay. The new channels, they are not raising the issues themselves. And if someone is raising the issues, then they are calling that they are bad people. Okay. So the media in our country is like the region behind 157 ranking. The media in our country is responsible for the 157 ranking. Okay. The way they are behaving, the mainstream media. So that is a different story altogether. Okay. So what we see, the actual practice, when we see the several media reports, they are highlighting the errors in the process. Okay. So this is also one of the part. Now at the same time, there has been a huge deletions. Just if you look at the newspapers also. Okay. If you look at the newspaper also, you will find that there has been deletion of huge number of people from this SIR. Okay. It has led to the numbers of deletions or omissions. The omissions or deletions or deletion figure is in crores. The number of deletion or omissions is in crores. So that is also one of the part. The number of people who have got their name deleted from the electoral list, that is in huge number. Okay. Plus, what we see that during this SIR process, in the SIR process, what we see that more deletion from those districts where there is higher population of minorities. We see that in those areas where there is higher population of minorities population, in those areas the deletion have been higher. Whereas in those districts where we see that the number of majority population is higher, the number of deletions is less, and there is a huge gap in that. So if there is a huge gap in that, it means there is going to be some challenge, there may be some error, there may be some biasness in the project itself. So this is one of the part that why it has been criticized. Now the Supreme Court has upheld the SIR process on grounds of legal requirement. The Supreme Court has said that the Election Commission of India, the Supreme Court has said that the Election Commission of India is empowered to carry out the Supreme Court has said that the Election Commission of India is empowered to carry out SIR process. There is no problem in that. It is under the law. So Election Commission of India is of course having the power to determine it. In fact, if we look at this, Supreme Court has said that, Supreme Court has said that it can examine a person's citizenship also. The Election Commission of India is empowered to examine the citizenship of a person also. Okay. On what ground? The ground is simple. Section 16 of Representation of People Act 1950 bars non-citizen from registering as voters. So if there is a non-citizen, they should not be registered as voters. So as per the law, the Election Commission of India is empowered to carry out this SIR exercise. As per the law, they are also empowered to examine whether a person is a citizen or not. However, Supreme Court also said this, that it doesn't mean that person is non-citizen just because of deletion from electoral roll. If a person has got his name deleted from the electoral roll, it doesn't mean that they are not a citizen. However, there are some great politicians, they have said this one part, that if a person's name has been deleted from the electoral roll, then they will not be given benefit of government schemes. There are certain people, there are certain politicians who have said this, that if a name of a person has been deleted from the electoral roll, then they are not going to get any benefit from the government schemes. However, the Supreme Court says otherwise. Okay. Supreme Court says otherwise. Supreme Court says that the deletion from the electoral roll, is not a challenge. Okay. That if a person has been deleted from electoral roll doesn't mean he is a non-citizen. If he is having other things, if he is having other documents which prove that person as a citizen, then it's not a challenge. So this is one of the part. Now, there is a criticism of the judgment also. There is a criticism of the judgment also. Now, what is the criticism? What is the criticism of this? Okay. That Supreme Court focused more on the legal aspect and not on the ground reality. Okay. So here we see that Supreme Court focused on letter of the law. There has been ignorance of ground reality. there has been ignorance of ground reality. Okay. And at the same time, it has been said that Supreme Court has not considered, the Supreme Court has not considered massive deletions. Supreme Court has not considered the massive deletions from the electoral roll, which should be a matter of concern. If huge number of people have been deleted, if huge number of people have been deleted from the electoral roll, it should have been a concern in the Supreme Court also. But Supreme Court has not considered its part. Supreme Court has considered just this one thing, the letter of the law. So that is one of the part, the criticism of the judgment. Here you can see one such case also. There is a Mohinder Singh Gill 1978 case. Here the court said that periodic free and fair elections, that without periodic free and fair elections, democracy ends. Second part, in the Gujarat Assembly election, democracy and free and fair elections are inseparable twins. That when we are having a free and fair elections, only then democracy can be there. Okay. Or if there is a democracy, then it must have a free and fair elections. The elections is free, but there is a question on its fairness. There is a question on its fairness. And do understand this one part. The Election Commission of India has to earn the respect from the opposition. It has not to demand the respect, it has to earn the respect. But in the present times, what we see that there is a number of questions, there is a huge number of questions on the impartiality of Election Commission of India. So if there are so many questions, it means it is not able to earn that respect. It is not able to earn that respect. So that is going to be one of the challenge for the Election Commission. It is losing its credibility. It is losing its credibility. So that should be a matter of concern for a constitutional body. So this is one of the part. Now, coming to third portion, India-US relations. India-US relations. So look at the title, from estranged to engaged to restrained democracy. There are three parts of it. Okay. Estranged, engaged, and restrained. There are multiple phases of this one part. Okay. That India-US relation, when we talk about this, when we talk about India-US relations, so there has been three phases. The estranged phase. This was the time of Cold War era. This was the time of Cold War era. When we were estranged from each other, very few discussions. India and US were not having quite good relations. They were estranged democracy. They were estranged democracy. That two democratic countries are there, but they are not connecting to each other. They are not having good relations with each other. So this was the time of Cold War. Then what we see, 2005, PM Manmohan Singh and George Bush. This was the time when we see that this was the beginning of engagement. This was the beginning of engagement. Here we see that there was a defense cooperation deal. There was a defense cooperation framework. Basically, there was a defense deal only. But see this very important, very crucial part. In 2005, when a defense deal was signed between India and United States, it was seen not as an end, but as a means to strengthen the relation. Okay. It was not an end. It was not an end, but a mean to strengthen relationship. Means the objective here was not only to have a defense deal. The objective here was not to just have a defense deal, but rather the deal was to enhance the cooperation in all areas. From defense deal, we went on to nuclear cooperation, several other defense deals, then technology deal, then multiple other things came into picture. So we see that this was the time when we were having engagement. Here you will find that as part of this one only, we see that during President Barack Obama, during this rule of President Barack Obama, he called this as a defining relationship of 21st century. So during President Obama, what we see that he himself called this that India-US strategic relations are in fact a defining relationship of 21st century. Okay. Now, gradually the time passed on, and then we are having the rule of President Trump. We are having the rule of President Trump. The strategic relationship, the strategic relationship got downgraded to transactional relationship. It has become transactional relationship. That when we talk about the era of Donald Trump, then what we see that during this time it has become an era of transactional relationship. Now you see that it is just on the basis of one thing versus other, that if you give me oil, I will give you this. If you purchase this defense equipment from us, we will give you this favor. So now it has become more of a transactional relationship rather than a strategic relationship. That partnership which was there, the strategic partnership which was there, now it is more of a transactional relationship. So if you want to see the evolution of Indian-US relationship, if you want to see the entire history, you can see from this one part. In just these three lines, in just these three keywords, you can understand the entire history of India-US relation. Now, if we talk about the current policies, I think you might be aware. About the current US policy. They have got this unilateral action on trade front, tariff. We see that there has been a tariff imposition. There have been support to Israel in destabilizing the Gulf region. US has been supporting Israel, and this has led to a destabilization in the Gulf region. We see that the oil and gas prices have gone to such a high level due to the actions of United States that it has become a huge challenge for our economy. It has become a challenge for the depreciation of currency. It has led to the outflow of foreign portfolio investment from India. You can see the US actions have a huge impact on Indian economy. The US actions have a huge impact on Indian economy. Our exports are declining. Our import is becoming costly. The depreciation of currency is there. The energy shock is there. Energy crisis is there. So we see that the US actions, and at the same time, they have also got this new relationship with Pakistan. They have got this new relationship with Pakistan also. So you will find that, in fact, the actions of US in the last 2 years, it has been having adverse geopolitical and geoeconomic consequences for India. The actions of this US in the last 2 years, this is having an adverse impact on India. So if you are having a strategic partnership, it should not be like this. Just see the impact. 2 years back, India was celebrating emergence as third largest economy. Now India has gone back to 6th rank. So what we see that, although it's our domestic things also, domestic challenges are also there, but we have slipped to 6th position in just 2 years. This is something which is huge concern for India. Geopolitically, geoeconomic concerns are there. Now, when we talk about the diaspora, we have always relied on diaspora. Okay. Now, you have to understand the US living Indian diaspora. They are basically second gen or third generation. They are second generation or third generation diaspora. They are more American than Indian. They are more American than Indian. The current diaspora which we see in US, we may feel proud that Indians in US are at top positions, they are in top levels in Google or this or that company. But the reality is they are second generation or third generation diaspora. They are not having the same connect with India as their forefathers. Now, just to give you an idea, suppose you are living in a town, you have visited village once or twice, but your parents who have been there in the village for most of their time and then they have shifted to town. So your parents may feel more connected to the village, but your connection to the village may be on the lower side. Why? Because you have not been brought up there. You have not grown up there. You have grown in a town, you have grown in a city. So you may go there for occasional visit, you may go there for nostalgia, but you are not liking that in the same manner as you like your town or city or other places. So if you are living in a town for a long period of time, if you have not been connected with village, your father, your mother, your grandfather, they might have that connection with the village, but you might not be having the same connect. In the similar manner, when we are talking about the second generation, the third generation diaspora, they might not have the same connection with India as their forefathers used to do. So they have become part of the Make America Great Again campaign. They have got themselves engaged more in this Make America Great Again campaign rather than advocating for India. So if you are thinking that if there is a person in the politics of US, they might be thinking about like India. So that might be a wrong assumption. They are not connected to India in the same manner as their forefathers used to be do. Okay. Now, so in this situation, what should be the way forward? What should we do? The Indian foreign policy, they have to be defined by economic policy and interest. This is something which was said by Jawaharlal Nehru almost 70 years back. Almost 70 years back, he said this one thing, that our policies needs to be decided by our economic policy and interest. Okay. So it should not be defined just about defense and security. You can see this one part. You can see this one part, that whenever we are talking about deal with other countries, when we are talking about relations with other countries, we are mostly talking about defense and security. We are mostly talking about defense and security. We are not talking about other interests. So we need to redefine our policy. We need to re-examine our foreign policy. We cannot depend on China. We cannot depend on US. We cannot depend on US. We cannot depend on China. And in the present case, the same goes for Russia also. We cannot depend on Russia either. In fact, we don't need any dependence on any other country. We need to have this multi-alignment. We need to have this independent foreign policy rather than having a dependence on other countries. Okay. So I hope this article is clear. So I hope this one article is clear. So we have got the 3 articles here. We have got 3 articles over here. The first one is with respect to international law and powerful states. Second one is related to democracy and citizens. Third one is related to India-US relation. Okay. Now, let's come to the question part. Let's come to this question part. The pendency of cases in Supreme Court requires institutional reforms rather than a mere increase in strength of judiciary. Critically comment. तो किन्होंने लिखा है आंसर इसका? How many of you have written answers? Written? Okay. So tell me about this one part. What you have given in introduction. How you have started your introduction? Okay. So what you have written in introduction, tell me about this one part. How you have started the introduction? See, just one thing. Many of you may have started with the current development. You could have started simply with the current development, that there has been an increase in strength from 34 to 38. About the judiciary. Yes. So from 34 to 38, you can do that. Or you can also mention the constitutional provision. Plus current development. You can mention about the article 124. You can mention about article 124 and then you can give this one part, that we have got an ordinance which has led to increase in the number of judges from 34 to 38. So this is one of the part which you can start with, the first thing. Now, second thing is the pendency of cases in Supreme Court requires institutional reforms. And this question is saying critically comment. Okay. So what you will do, first part you can mention a flow chart. This is the first part. Second part, you can make a table about pendency of cases. You can mention about one part, pendency of cases. Third thing, you can examine the reasons behind pendency. Reasons behind pendency. Fourth part, you can mention the need for increasing strength. Need for increasing strength. Fifth part, you can mention that strength, what other things are required. Here you can mention why increase in strength may become challenge. Then you can mention this one part, what reforms are needed. And then you can write about conclusion. Okay. So first let me highlight the part. Now I will discuss them one by one. Okay. First thing you have to do, you can start with the introduction. That what current developments are there. You can start with the constitutional article. Then you can mention that recently there has been promulgation of an ordinance by President has increased the number of judges from 34 to 38 in Supreme Court. That is the first part, the introduction. The second part is the table. You can make a table about the pendency of cases. Try to focus on Supreme Court. Try to focus on Supreme Court. Then you can mention the reasons behind pendency. Make a flow chart only. Here also make a flow chart. No need to discuss this in detail. Try to make a flow chart, the reasons behind the pendency of cases. Then need for increasing strength. You can mention that how many judges per million population are there or per lakh population is there. What has been the recommendation of Law Commission? If you remember, in one of our previous classes, we have seen this part also, that we are having lesser number of judges as compared to what has been said by Law Commission in its recommendation. Okay. So you can mention about that part also, that how many judges are actually required. So this is one part, that why there is a need of increasing the strength. But then you can also mention that the real part here, that the increase in strength may become a challenge. Then you can mention why a challenge. I have explained that to you in the previous session. There is an inconsistency in the judgment. Different benches, different opinion. More number of judges, more number of benches, more different opinions, more contradictory opinions. You can mention that part. Now, institutional reform. Here focus on two parts. Reforms within the Supreme Court. There we can mention this one part, that we need to have constitutional bench, we need to have regional benches. Constitutional benches plus regional benches. We need to also address this part of SLP, special leave petitions. We need to have a control on that also. We need to have a control on the PIL system also. We need to use the AI and other system for administrative tasks. Okay. So this is one of the part which you can mention, that what reforms are needed. And then after, when you have to write the conclusion section, here you can focus on this one part. You can take some global examples. in this one answer, again, there is a new suggestion. You can take some global examples that in US, in UK or other countries, how the Supreme Courts have managed, to keep the pending cases at a lower level. So here you can take some international examples. So this is one thing which you have to do from your side. ये आपको अपनी तरफ से करना है. Take one international example also here. So this is again a new suggestion. In case of polity, you may have seen in our syllabus, plus you may have seen in previous year questions of UPSC. They're asking on the basis of comparison of Indian political system with other political systems, other government systems. So you should prepare accordingly. So this is one task for you also, that how the other country's Supreme Court has been able to keep the number at lower level. So this is one new task. I think Ginny will be again having this one question. Sir, conclusion में आप हमेशा कुछ नया बता देते हो. And then we are not able to catch up with that. So yes, every time we will try to learn some new approach of writing conclusion. It has to be something novel. It has to be something unique. So we will try to add on things on a gradual basis, on a regular basis. Okay. So try to add some of the international example. Try to add some of the international example. That will be good for your answer. So I hope you have written in the same manner. So here we have got two questions today. First, India-US relations have become more transactional in nature rather than strategic. Elucidate. And second one, the present world order is setting a dangerous precedent for global peace. Analyze. (87% to 92% similarity. Very good. Very good. So I think the things have been gradually improving. Your answer writing part has been gradually improving. And this is something which you have to do on regular basis. When you continue to write on regular basis, the things will be much more better. So thank you everyone. Thank you everyone. Keep on writing the answers. Tomorrow again, we will discuss some new editorials. Okay. So thank you everyone. Take care and all the best. Conclusion, no, this, see, understand this one part. Conclusion is not incorrect. Conclusion is not incorrect. It's that we have to improve something from time to time. So that is what we will try to do. That every time we will try to bring something new. There is different aspects of answer writing. First, we have to get the basic formula, introduction, main body, conclusion. Then we will try to incorporate some flow chart, some table, some of the new elements in that part. In one of the question related to geography, we have discussed that you have to add map. अगर आपको याद हो, one day we were discussing about El Nino and La Nina, and there I have told you that you must use map in order to show this. So through these sessions, this is what we are trying to build on. That with every session, with every subject, we will try to add some new features. और जैसे धीरे धीरे आप इन चीजों को incorporate करोगे, your answers will become better day by day. The answers are going to become better day by day. Every subject, from IR to polity, social justice to geography to other subjects. Except we don't discuss history here, so that is up to you. But all other dynamic subjects we will discuss. Hindi classes are there in the evening. Hindi में जो classes है वो evening में है. That's good. If you are writing the same answer twice or thrice, that's very good. So let's meet then tomorrow. All the best everyone. Take care. Thank you.